Here's what happened this week at City Council.
Council voted to approve an agreement which will allow the County of El Paso to reimburse up to $5,000 worth of expenses towards the 2019 Texas Association Museum conference here in El Paso, which will be taking place in April. We're really excited because this is a major conference that will bring hundreds of delegates and museum professionals from throughout the state to El Paso for the first time in almost 10 years. I think for the community this is a great thing because the county is agreeing to share some of these expenses and will ultimately help drive cultural tourism.
Council approved today a contract for design build services, awarding the pre-construction services to Jordan Foster for the reconstruction of Hawkins Road from I-10 down to Merchant. We'll be starting the design process here over the next 9 to 10 months and then begin construction in 2020 under this contract. What this means to the community is that we're looking to address one of the high priorities for our community, which is streets. In addressing this highly traveled corridor. It's one of the top 25 arterial roadways, and he sees a lot of heavy traffic, so we're part of the scope that will include replacing the existing asphalt with concrete pavement, which stands heavier loads due to the traffic loads that go through this area. 15.2 is an award of professional services agreement to Consor Engineering. This is for the design of replacement bridges at 4 locations throughout the city. That includes Alabama, Delta, Yarbrough, and Davis. This is a federally funded project where the city is only going to pay 10% of the cost and the federal government is going to cover 90% of the cost. Again, it's looking at our infrastructure and working closely to leverage our city dollars to capture federal funds to be able to upkeep and replace the infrastructure that we have in place. Item 16.1, we provided an update to City Council on the Trailhead and Trails programs that were approved through the 2012 Quality of Life. We presented to Council that we've been in the process of doing grand openings for 4 trailheads throughout the community. We opened 2 on the Northeast on Saturday, March 2nd, and we're looking forward to opening up one more March 9th on the west side and another one on March 23rd on the west side as well. These are trailheads where we're going to provide the community an opportunity to get close to the trails within the state park system that are really awesome and provide great views and a great amenity for our residents to get outdoors and explore the state park.
Item 16.2 is a budget update. As part of our integrated budget process, we provide updates to the council at every city council meeting. And this update really just focused on a retrospective look at, over the last 10 to 15 years, some of the challenges that we faced as a city, highlighting property value growth or the minimal property value growth that we've seen over the last decade, highlighting some of the challenges that we've seen due to the Great Recession and some of the challenges we faced there. And really just using that past knowledge in order to guide us in the future to make sure that we're looking long-term and that the decisions that council is making is not just focused on the immediate, but also looking at long-term and where we need to be as an organization to address some of those key areas that need some investing. Encouraging the public to understand some of the positions that we're in, some of the challenges we're facing, some of the decisions that the council is being faced with as far as when they're adopting a budget, the need for the tax rate increase really to be reinvested into our public safety departments, our police and fire. Our quality of life projects, again, is a big area where we've made substantial investments in.
There was no action today. It was a management update. And what I did was I gave the calendar year report for 2018, which showed a live release rate of 84.46. I talked a lot about our strategic plan and our plans to go forward, and also presented what capital needs that we're in process and what we're going to need in order to sustain that no-kill.
The presentation focused on the interactive maps that the city has, particularly with regard to the district map. There are several concerns from constituents as well as council members and a number of other folks who don't know what district they belong to. And so the community can learn what district they belong to by clicking on the district map website that we have on our homepage. You scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll see interactive maps. It'll take you to the link of more than 20 different interactive maps that the city has to include the districting map. Click on the districting map, enter any address, and it'll tell you what district you belong to in El Paso. This is important to the community because these maps, particularly the districting map, help the community understand what is going on in their district. They know who they can contact if they have an issue with a city service or project, and they can also talk to the council member about what it is that they would like to see in the future. And of course, any of the other maps that they can get to, they can get more information, whether it be about the neighborhood association or about the zoning in their area, whatever it might be that they're looking for that might be related to the interactive maps.
So council voted to adopt an ordinance that brings our Tiers 5 board into compliance with the state law. What this means is that anybody who's not contributing into the tax increment reinvestment zone number 5, which is our downtown Tiers, does not get a seat at the table. So in order for you to have a board member from other taxing entities, that taxing entity needs to be contributing to the reinvestment fund.
So we provided council an update on the pavement condition index, where we talked about the historical investment that we've had into maintaining our roadway system, resurfacing, and we also provided them some of the results and scenarios that we're able to analyze as a result of the completion of the pavement condition index study that was done last year in 2018, where we looked at the best practices and what kind of investment levels we would need.
We provided an update to the Downtown Development Corporation, which is the City Council, on the performance of the FY 2018 ballpark and the financing related to that. So we provided an update on the 2% hotel occupancy tax, the team revenue, showed them what the debt service looked like, and then ultimately what the general fund subsidy was required this past fiscal year in order to make that debt service requirement. So one of the things we showed them, which is a great update, fantastic news, showing them that the general fund subsidy is expected now to end 2 years sooner than what had been originally presented. Originally it was a 10-year general fund subsidy that was expected to be necessary. Now we're down to about an 8 years. So we're looking at fiscal year 2021 being the last year that a general fund subsidy would be required. And then at that point in time, going forward, any additional revenues generated would go back to refund or reimburse the general fund for anything that's subsidized for that ballpark.
Council decided to move one of the legislative priorities that they had on the, or I guess legislative agenda items into a priority item, and that's the support for the Woody L. Hunt School of Dental Medicine. Prior to yesterday, the item was just listed in our legislative agenda. Now it's going to be a priority, so the city is going to be actively pursuing that. That's important to our community because when you look at all the data and you talk to the experts, West Texas and this region of Texas is really left without options when it comes to dental medicine. And so by having a school in our backyard, that lets us retain those medical professionals and it lets us increase our dental health in the immediate region. Otherwise, you would have to go out east or further out west to get that kind of care.